Welcome to the Scream at Night podcast, your midnight home for all things horror, from Scream 7 theories to horror debates and deep dives into the darkest corners of the genre. As we dive deep into the shadows of fear, film, and everything that makes us scream, we'll be breaking down horrors past, present, and future every week, here where horror never sleeps.
Hello?
Hello, Sydney.
What's going on? Here we are ready to do this, episode 4 for the Scream at Night podcast. We've got Sarah with us and Julie again, ready to dive deep into our topic tonight. Ladies, how you doing?
Great.
All right.
Glad to be back. You know, we love to yap.
Okay.
We love to yap.
That's right. For you guys in the chat, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate all of you. We see you guys in there, and shout out to Lindsay, and we got Horror Queen and Val in the house. Good to see you, Val. Hope you're doing well and staying warm. Gory Tiger, what's going on? Think like a director. What is up? Paula, Kelly, all of you. Okay, so let's get into this, ladies. We're going to be talking about something that kind of came up to me. I was telling you guys a little bit about this backstage, and we actually started a conversation backstage. I was like, we gotta go live with this. You know, there are a lot of people right now. Scream is just on a high hype level. All the expectation, all the fan theories, the people that are so ready for this next installment, but also those who may not be and aren't really big into it. And it made me start thinking a little bit about horror franchises and specifically horror villains, the Boogeyman, you know. So, ladies, let's start with a couple of these particular characters in horror. Julie, let me start with you. We're going to go back to where we started backstage. When we talk about horror villains, and a lot of these obviously are from slashers, there's classics. You know, we've got the old school classics, and we know who they are. We'll get to them. You know, we will. But let's start with one of the newer horror villains that has cropped up in the last several years, Art the Clown. When we talk about Terrifier, and I know you were saying backstage, I don't necessarily, we don't necessarily need to go through the same thing, but you haven't really watched the movies as of yet, but you got the flavor of how intense the films are. Let me have you talk about that, but also just Art specifically as a horror villain. Is Art good for horror?
Is he good? Yes, 100%.
Okay.
So I have not fully seen any of the Terrifier movies. I think the most I've seen is maybe a quarter of the first one. I turned it off. I didn't like the vibe. I suspect I would like the second and third ones a lot more. I've seen a lot of clips. I feel like I've pieced together a good chunk of the movie.
Okay.
I don't know why I still shy away from watching them. Like Saw is one of my favorite series ever.
Right.
I don't know what it is. I think just hearing people talk about how nasty and mean-spirited these movies are. But then again, some people say that about Saw. So, and then after I heard Sarah's take, I was like, okay, now I really need to watch these. I need my own opinion. But just like Art as an entity is, in my opinion, I think he's super cool. He's just instantly iconic. Seeing him at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights, not in person, but I've seen so many Instagram reels of him and multiple actors portraying him, and they all did fantastically. And I felt like they all captured the essence of Art in the films. And it was just, to me, I think he's an iconic character already. He's a boogeyman. And I need to see the movies myself because I could completely just be like, never mind, I hate him.
That's true. All right.
Yeah, that's my take.
Interesting. All righty. Well, Sarah, let's have you with your take on your experience with, Art as a character and also the Terrifier films.
Yeah. So I do think art is good for horror because, like, a win for any horror movie or character is kind of just like a win for the community, right? If people like this, we're going to keep getting more horror. So, like, that's great. Um, if anybody is unfamiliar with me, I hate these movies. Like, I don't like them at all.
Right.
Nothing against you if you do. They are so just not for me. I am not a gore for the sake of gore kind of gal. Saw is about the most extreme as I go, but
Mhm.
like there's something for everybody, right? Like we like what we like. Obviously,
Yeah.
people are loving these. I think art. I wouldn't call him an icon, just because for me the definition of like an icon is like if people outside of the horror community know your name, I think you've hit like icon status. Like my mom knows who Michael Myers is. Like my dad knows who Freddy Krueger is. They don't watch those movies. If
Mhm.
I asked them about Art the Clown, like they would have no idea who that was.
Yeah.
I think he's developed a big enough following that eventually he will hit that status, just not yet. I think time is a factor too.
Mhm.
I would like I
Yeah.
would say that about a lot of icons too. Like I think like Ghostface is kind of having a resurgence as well.
Mhm.
Like in the 90s and early 2000s, an icon. This big gap in between, maybe not. Like a lot of people kind of forgot about him. And
Mm.
now like he's back. So I think just because they're like our faves don't necessarily mean they're actually icons.
Mhm.
So we'll see how like the trajectory of art goes. But yes,
Yeah.
good for horror, just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and like we were saying backstage, I definitely get it. I mean, Terrifier is one of those franchises where people are usually they're either on board or they're not. I don't know of a lot of people kind of in between. For me, just as a slasher fan, I can enjoy that aspect of it. Um, for each film, and also Julie, this won't spoil it for you, Julie, but to me, it's
I've seen all the
yeah.
spoilers.
Yeah, but, for me, each film pretty much has, like, one, big kill scene that is obviously over the top and way too gory, and Damien, when he's talked about it, part of the way he approached it, obviously with all the practical effects and kind of trying to bring that back to the forefront, and having it be over the top to show those effects, but also to kind of take people out of the reality of it, because a lot of those, actually all three films, those kill no, it just, and not that I would know from personal experience, but I'm just saying you could tell that it's like so zany and over the top. Um, do I love those scenes? No, I mean, I can appreciate the practical side of it, but Art himself, to Sarah's point, and I've talked about this too, I don't think Art is necessarily iconic yet. With Terrifier 4 coming out and just, the hype train for Terrifier continues to, it's amazing to me. Like it's like growing at a really fast rate. Like to me, it's growing at a faster rate, even than the big four. Now, part of that is because today's world is different. We've got social media, and we literally have David Howard Thornton himself reaching out to fans almost, like just like click of a button on his social media. So I think that that's a big part of it too, the world that we live in. We're also living in a world where conventions are the thing. Like when you go to conventions, like every time I've gone to a convention, I know I'm going to see Ghostface. I know I'm going to see Michael, people dressed up as, Freddy, Jason, and I've seen people dressed up as Art. And like, man, he's getting there. He's getting there. I think with the next film, you could start having the conversation, but Sarah's point I liked because I do think it takes time, because there are other horror villains that have been around for a long time that you could say are iconic. Like Chucky, to me is iconic. People know who Chucky is. That franchise has been around since 1988. So that, he's iconic, or someone like Leatherface. So Art is getting there, but the films, yeah, they're tough, man. You guys in the chat, some of you guys are on both sides of the fence. Definitely not Oliver's cup of tea. And don't compare Saw to Terrifier.
Well, I think we're
I get
speaking
it.
on like a gore level, not maybe not so much a story level.
Yeah, yeah. There's no doubt the story level is different, with Saw heavily favored. But yeah, the gore side of it definitely a big talking point, because Saw used to have that issue too. People
Mhm.
thought it was just gore, and that was what people saw. That's what they thought of when they thought of Saw. For me, I loved the story the most. Speaking of which, let's get into Jigsaw. I mean, Jigsaw, obviously, we're talking about 10 films. We're talking about um, a lot of success in the box office and even some critical acclaim, especially with Saw X. Who would have thought, a 10th film in the Saw franchise having a great Rotten Tomatoes score and like kind of
Mhm.
reviving things before we got snapped at the knees. But Julie, I know Julie's about to, I'm sorry,
Ah.
but Julie, let's talk about Saw, and especially Jigsaw as a character. How do you see Jigsaw as a horror villain, a boogeyman? And what do you think is the possibilities for the future now that James Wan is kind of back in the driver's seat with the franchise?
I think so. Well, when you guys were saying you didn't fully feel like art was iconic yet, when I think of like in terms of Saw, I feel like if you ask, if you show people a picture of Billy the puppet, they'll
Hmm.
recognize it. If you show people a picture of Tobin Bell as John Kramer, I don't think anybody, I mean, besides, us fans, but
Right.
like in terms of like John Kramer, Jigsaw, like he's incredible to us, but I feel like him as a character is not recognizable to mainstream audiences yet,
Hmm.
if ever, because it's been 20 years. Um, but as far as will it be successful if we break continuity? Yeah, maybe.
Hmm.
I think it's still a recognizable property, obviously. And like I said, mainstream audiences probably are not going to care if Tobin Bell's not in it because he's probably not the iconic part to most people.
Hmm.
It's the visuals of the puppet, the traps, and like, do we think anybody knows who Mark Hoffman is? Who's not like an actual like big fan? No,
It's a
they don't.
crime.
They don't know Costas.
It's a
They
crime. If my
don't know
brother was here,
Jill.
yeah, I know it's a crime. Yeah,
So
agreed.
that's my take on it.
Okay, Sarah, what are your thoughts on Jigsaw as a horror villain, a boogeyman? Is he important? Was he ever important? Will he ever be important for horror?
I kind of echo what Julie said. Like, if I had a nickel for every time somebody saw Billy the Puppet and said, "Oh, that's that Saw Jigsaw guy," and I'm like, "Well, kind of." Like, the puppet is more recognizable than Tobin Bell.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think unless you're like really part of the fandom, I think the
Hmm.
average viewer goes for the traps. They go for the
Yeah.
traps, they go for the I want to play a game. Like they're not invested in the lore like some people
Hmm.
are. So it's kind of that age-old question of like, do you want to like impress the fandom or do you want to make
Hmm.
money?
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Good point. Well, for me, I think Saw is criminally underrated. Um, and it's kind of weird because when the movies were coming out, they were highly successful. I mean, I can remember going to movie theaters and it was packed. I mean, it was a thing. Um, every October, every year, if it's Halloween, it's Saw. And even when Paranormal Activity had its run, they were kind of like going back and forth against each other, like a competition. But I honestly believe, I think Saw as a franchise, I think was able to help horror in the 2000s kind of stay afloat. To me, it was Saw and Final Destination. I think, those two franchises really were successful and brought a lot of people into the theaters and kind of kept horror at a certain level because yeah, remember at that point we're talking post Scream 3, and so, we had a little while before we had Scream 4, and of course then we had a long while until we had Scream 5. That's what it's called, Scream 5.
Mhm.
But I think Saw did a great job to keep things going, to keep that hype, to keep audiences like in the theaters. So for me, I think Jigsaw is iconic based upon just longevity. Yes, Billy the Puppet is the one that's more recognizable, but I do think criminally underrated. And I think in an average conversation outside of us, I think in an average conversation people would disagree and they would say no, he's not iconic. But I just feel like when you're talking about 20 years of a franchise, 10 movies, and a lot of great success. I mean, they made a lot of money on those films. I just think that speaks volumes for me. Of course, I'm a fan, so I'm jaded. What do you think, Julie?
Well, sorry, yeah, I just thought of something. Didn't
Mhm.
and now this may have been related to the year it came out, but didn't Spiral bomb?
Spiral did not do well. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. So
See,
that may throw a monkey wrench in my theory
yeah.
there because oh no, nobody cares about John. Well, maybe they do.
Yeah. Oh
And there was
yeah.
no Billy the puppet, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, they had a
It was
weird looking thing in it. I forgot what it was, but
a
what were you
little
saying,
pig
Sarah?
puppet and
Yeah.
the
Yeah. What
AI
the?
voice. No, no, no.
Oh no, that was bad. That
That's
was
too
way bad.
This might
Sarah.
be a hoe take on top of Julie's, but I preferred Spiral to the Jigsaw movie.
Oh, well, me too, Sarah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jigsaw, mm-mm, I do
Yeah.
not care for at all.
Jigsaw was tough, and it's funny because I can't remember where I was talking about it with. Oh yeah, because last week me and Kill we were talking about the Saw franchise, and I did start to rewatch it because I said, man, I got to rewatch it because that's probably my least watched film in the franchise, and I just wanted to kind of jump back into it. Look, I mean, it's not great. And maybe I'm just too much of a fan, but to me, it's not horrible. But I will say I do think Spiral is better. I actually felt bad for Spiral, for Chris Rock and company, because
Mhm.
I thought, like, no, it wasn't at the level of, Saw 2 or 6 or obviously the original or Saw X. But I didn't think it was a pile of crap, and I think Chris Rock actually was pretty good in his role. Like I was vibing with it. They had a couple of missteps, some things that they did. I think they probably should have went the other way. And I also think that they didn't have a great identity. Like, are you a part of Jigsaw's legacy or are you not? And it seemed like they were kind of playing back and forth and they weren't definitive enough for me as a fan. Like I would have been fine if it was just separated and they said, hey, well, this guy is killing people kind of like that other guy did, and just leave it at that and nothing else. I would have been fine with that. Or obviously, if they went all in and had some type of connection that made sense, of course. But yeah, I didn't hate Spiral at all. I really didn't. So
I think honestly, I think the first movie is iconic, and that's where most people would know Billy the Puppet from, because that was the one
Mhm.
that was like spoofed all the time.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
remember when it came out and everybody was having a puppet on a tricycle? Like,
Yes.
that's iconic. But you were talking about like Final Destination and like those movies that kind of kept it going. But like, do you remember when The Ring came out and all they were doing was running around saying you're gonna die in 7 days?
7 days. Yeah.
When the first Saw came out, that was the first time that I remember seeing that same level of hype as The
Mhm.
Ring. Like when the first Saw came out, everybody was talking about it. Like horror
Mhm.
fans, not horror fans, casual viewers, like everybody was talking about it. Even if they didn't like it, it shot itself immediately into like the pop culture zeitgeist. Now, if people hung around for the rest of the franchise, maybe not. But I think like the
Mhm.
first film is iconic.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. That's a great point. And it was fresh. It was well done. James Wan obviously knows what he's doing. I think he's going to have a good career when it's all said and done.
He knows how to
So,
start a franchise, let me tell you.
doesn't he though? Like, you got to give him all. I mean, seriously, I don't want to rant because I could about him, but you got to give him some serious credit, man. He's done very well, and he also has variety. I mean, this is a guy that that can do a DC movie. That's how much
Yeah.
variety he has as far as his.
Aquaman,
Yes,
Furious 7, they just
that's
gave
right.
this man the 7th movie, and Sarah knows.
Yep.
And I thought he did a good job with it too,
He
especially with the
did.
whole Paul Walker situation.
Yeah.
I thought it was handled very well, respectable. So cool. All right. Well, let me just jump into the chat real quick. We got Oliver who is coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much, Oliver. We appreciate you, brother. Hope you're doing well. I had time to think about this with Saw. You can get away with a reboot or redo of the series if you find the right people, especially if you find the right person to play John Kramer. Sarah, I'll start with you, Sarah. What do you think? If we restart this whole thing, let's just say let's redo the whole thing. How successful do you think it can be? We get a new person playing John Kramer and we just reset the whole timeline.
I don't know. I think it would keep the casual viewers because, like I said earlier, I think the casual viewers are in it for the traps, not so much like the lore. So I think it would still do well. I just don't know if that would be something that I would enjoy. I'd rather them like shoot off on their own like side quest and have a new story, keeping this history rather than like trying to reboot it. But that's just me.
Okay. Julie, how about you? What does your Saw loving heart say to this?
I don't want another John Kramer. I just don't. Like, and what they did in Spiral, which is kind of what you said, Sarah, an offshoot of the main timeline, its own story. Not successful money-wise, but I don't want an actual reboot. I really don't. I don't want to see this story redone. I think it was not perfect, but with the actors and actresses we had, I don't want to see somebody else do this again. And I don't think James Wan would do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know if that would be something that he would be big on doing.
Would it be successful? I don't know. It could be like another Spiral. People could just be like, oh, well, this isn't the Saw 11 I wanted.
Right.
And, yeah, I mean, the box office showed how people felt about that, but
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
I think it could be, they could start something new and it could take off. Who knows?
That's true as well.
With younger people, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a chance to move forward. I mean, we've seen that even with Scream 5 and 6, passing it on to new characters. And if you have the right characters and you can kind of just connect with an audience, you can still be very successful. And I think that's kind of what Saw would have to do. For me, obviously, as a fan, and I'm speaking as a fan, it's kind of too bad that we weren't able to continue with, well, and we'll see, who knows, but with Mark Hoffman. I mean, it's like he was a character that he was rooted in the story. He was evolved. He went through his roller coaster and is still alive. Well, he could be.
He could be.
But they could go with him, and Costas Mandalore is young enough to run for another God knows how long. But then again, how far do you go? That's the other question too. But for me, yeah, I'd watch it if it was rebooted, but I agree. I don't necessarily want to see someone else playing John Kramer. Not right now, anyways. I mean, we just had Saw X, right? I would want time, and I'm talking, easily a decade or so, easily, before I'm ready to see someone else. Because Tobin Bell is just so legendary. It's the same problem that comes up with this next Boogeyman that we're going to talk about. And of course, it's the one and only Freddy Krueger. How do you escape Robert Englund? Can you? I mean, this is a character probably more than any other that we're going to talk about tonight, that has just worldwide become so iconic. and garnered so much success, especially at the box office. I mean, when you have your own TV show and you're on MTV and a 900 number and all of these different things, I mean, you're iconic. Julie, let's start with you. When we talk about Freddy, this is a sticky situation for all the Elm Street fans out there, of which I am one. What do you think is the possibilities for Freddy to come back? And I don't know. You can give me your thoughts on Robert. I have particular thoughts myself.
I think it's kind of a spooky situation they're in right now and I think maybe that's part of why nothing's happened for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they have some rights issues with the estate, but
yeah,
me personally, I didn't have a problem with Jackie Earle Haley. I didn't love what he did. Like his performance was like, oh my gosh, like wow, he really stood out to me. But I thought he was fine. The movie overall. Stop.
I'm sorry. I always got to be ready.
I didn't love the makeup. Okay, but in terms of like a replacement actor, I think he did fine. I think he was
did.
serviceable. I mean, the movie itself needed a lot of work. I thought it was fine. It wasn't like blasphemy to me. But I mean, of course, I don't think anybody can replace or do better even, although it's always possible. I don't personally have an extreme attachment to Robert Englund like I do with Tobin Bell that I was just talking about. No, I don't want to see anybody replace him. With Robert Englund, it's like, yeah, I mean, what we got in the remake wasn't great, but I could see somebody else excelling. I don't know if they'd be better, but yeah, I'd be fine with it. I just think they're going to have a problem with maybe the older generations, people being like, oh, this is fine. This new guy's cool. Yeah. But you never know. I just think they really need to have a solid product first.
Yeah.
Even if you have a good actor, if it's a bad movie, like, yeah.
Yeah. Because Jackie's a great actor in my opinion.
He was kind of set up to fail. Like, I agree with Julie. Like, I didn't mind him. It was bad prosthetics, bad CGI, and bad writing. Like, he did the best he could with what he was given.
Yeah.
I
agree. I mean, for me, I think that Elm Street is popular enough that it can withstand, a new Freddy. Whether or not it's successful, that's a whole nother ball. But I think what they need to inject, a new energy into the story and into Freddy. You know what I'm saying? Something that makes you kind of, for any of us, to kind of go, ooh, wow, that's all right. I think that's what they need to do. They saw a lot of eras of the past where the franchise kind of went, other than New Nightmare, of course, but New Nightmare is kind of its own thing. When you talk about 5 and 6, especially 6, it was just like, guys, we're in the wrong place. And I know there are fans of those films, and I can enjoy those films too. I mean, I've seen those films more than I could even think of, through the years growing up and so forth. But I definitely think Freddy as a character, there's a lot of possibilities there. There really, really is. And we'll get to a character that I think is showing that. But as an icon, I think there's no doubt, probably as much as any character we're going to talk about tonight, I think Freddy is goated. Like, if people talk about Mount Rushmore of horror villains, I can't imagine someone, and of course, I'm sure there are people, there's probably people here tonight, but I can't imagine that Freddy doesn't have one of those 4 spots. I mean, I'm telling you, because I saw it. I mean, he was everywhere. My grandmother knew who Freddy Krueger was. Like, we had the president referencing A Nightmare on Elm Street. So, like, I mean, you know what I mean? That's how big his reach was. His reach is global. And so, he's truly iconic. And although horror has survived in these 15 years since we've had an Elm Street film, I definitely think that it would be great for a return, especially when you see how some of these other franchises are doing, whether it's the Halloween trilogy or obviously the Scream films, Art the Clown. We've had other slasher franchises with these horror villains at the forefront that have done well. But Freddy is special, in my opinion. Freddy is special, and even with all the dips in the franchise, the great films that were in the franchise are still in my opinion, some of the best horror ever. You can credit Wes on a lot of that too, and of course, he's a goat as well. When I say we're moving into another character that's showing us how to do it, I mean, pull out your ice skates and let's get ready to do it. The Grabber at this point, to me, and I said this before seeing Black Phone 2, is just poised, like kind of crouched down. I'm talking like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon type of stuff, and ready to just jump, into this conversation. He's not there yet. He's definitely not. But this second film, and I know you two, obviously, we have a lot of fun talking about this, but this second film, I think, showed some serious possibilities and some serious roadmap where this franchise could go, where he could go as a villain, and how iconic he can be. I was looking, and I'll start with you in a second, Sarah. I posted this. I think you guys had seen it, just little clips from the movie, and of course you've got Ethan Hawke doing his little, vengeance is, and I was just thinking, damn, this is cool. You know what I mean? Like the look, the mythology, what he's doing, it just, everything is kind of coming together. Sarah, I mean, I know you enjoy the film, but what are your thoughts on the possibilities, if there are any? You may not think there are, but the possibilities of the Black Phone and the Grabber in the future.
Yes, everybody knows I love these movies. I don't know if the Grabber as a character will ever reach icon status. And I only say that because the movies aren't really focused on him. Like, we're really dealing with the kids, like the siblings specifically. It's really like their movie, and he is just kind of like the antagonist, which sounds like I'm dumbing him down to nothing. He's like incredible. It's a great character. But like, for me, it's like the focus of these movies are the siblings and like them navigating this traumatic event that's happening. So
it's Scream-like.
Yeah. So I think we would need a lot more screen time with him for him to become like an iconic character. And that is a double-edged sword for me because I don't want them to ruin him. We've had 2 like 10 out of 10 movies. I'm down for like a tight 3. Give me like a good trilogy, like wrap him up. I don't want a Freddy's Dead with the Grabber. Like, I don't want them to just make movies because they're making money. Like,
yeah,
I don't think Scott Derrickson would screw it up to the level that some of these other mega franchises have been screwed up. But like, it's like when you're watching a TV show and you love it, and then they decide to go it on their own terms and they like cancel it short. Those are always the best. Because like, don't you hate when a really good series gets run into the ground because they just didn't know when to stop?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would love just like a really tight trilogy.
Okay. All right. Julie, before I get to you real quick, just to jump into the chat, also wanted to say hey to Gina in the house. Channel member anniversary with the big 30.
Ooh,
That's awesome.
congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you and Ziggy. Thank you so much, Gina. We appreciate you. Say much love to everyone. Woohoo. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Julie, let's do some ice skating. What are your thoughts?
Let's do it. No, I feel like the Black Phone is like a really interesting case study here because we have a first movie that's it has some supernatural elements, but it's a very tight, small, Stephen King-esque, his son, story. And it's grounded in a reality in a sense. There's ghosts and there's some of that going on, but I think this is so interesting because the series could have died there with him. at the end of that movie. And I think that's what most people wanted to happen. People were like, wow, that was a really good one-off movie. That's all we need. Yep. Bye. Don't know. And I've heard so many people say this, like they did not want a sequel. And then they saw the trailer and they were like, oh, well, that actually looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think it's so cool because they didn't say, hey, we're just going to make like a prequel where he's doing the same thing with a different kid.
Yeah.
Then we're not doing that. If we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna go like 90 miles an hour and get wacky with it. And it's so interesting because they set it up so well, so it doesn't feel wrong or like inappropriate as a sequel.
Yeah.
It just works. And now, unfortunately, these movies do well, but I think this one made less than the first. And these aren't doing like Conjuring numbers at the box office. They're not hitting the 500 mil mark, which might be a good thing because Sarah, then we might get that tight third sequel or third movie, get a rounded out trilogy because Scott Derrickson has said he's interested and he's like, I'll only do it if it's better than the second one. And it's like, okay, let's get it. Like,
right.
So maybe that's a good thing that they're not extremely successful, because if they were like The Conjuring, we'd be getting 10 movies planned out, a spinoff, and then it could get hokey and weird and really bad.
Right. Absolutely.
I think we're in a prime position here. I think we might get a third, maybe a fourth, but I don't know. I feel good about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I think we're going to get a third. I mean, the worldwide box office, I was just looking that up. 128 million, 75 million from domestic. So I mean, look, they did well. They made their money and then some. So I definitely think we'll get a third movie. And they've got the right people behind the camera too. Like, and Sarah, to your point, and I totally agree, we don't want a Freddy's Dead. But you know what? If any movie in today's landscape makes a Freddy's Dead, I say shame on you, because you did not learn that horrible lesson that Robert and crew learned way back then. You just have to, like, look, I'm in favor of taking swings, especially if it's a long-running franchise. The Black Phone isn't. We're still kind of building ourselves up. So I don't think we're in danger of that just yet. But you're right. Success can bring in that ambition and also rushing things that shouldn't be rushed. Hopefully it doesn't get to that. I would like to think it wouldn't in the hands where it's at now. But yeah, making a mistake like a Freddy's Dead, that's just, you just can't do that in today's world. You just can't. You got to respect your character. Take swings if you need to. But still respect the character, and just don't be stupid. You know what I mean? I mean,
I would go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, and please don't change creative hands unless those hands are maybe a Mike Flanagan or something. Like as a last resort, I'd rather just keep who we have. It feels like a passion project. It really does.
It does. And it feels so, like, it's so weird to even say that, especially in the landscape of horror today, and decades worth of some really great movies and a lot of misses as well. But it feels fresh. There's a freshness to it. When I saw these movies in the theater, I felt like I was on a ride, and it's probably because of the fact, like you guys were saying, it's a story. It's a story about siblings and what they're facing and the trauma and all of that. And the grabber is kind of on the outskirts, skating in to do what he does. But I like that. I really do. And I think, when you got a talented director like Scott, you got a super talented cast like they do. And of course, Ethan Hawke, I mean, look, he's goated. I love everything that he's in. He's such a great actor. I just think you've got a great recipe, at least for a couple of more films. And now, will it ever get to the point where he is iconic? I don't know. It would take a while, because that's a conversation that you have when a franchise or a villain character, has a lot, of films under their belt that are successful and that are moving the dial. You know what I mean? Whereas on the other side, when we talk about Ghostface, that's also the same type of scenario where you have the story first, and Ghostface is like, the outside of it, the wrapping on it. But the difference with Scream, here's one big difference. Horror needed Scream in 1996. It really did. I mean, horror was on life support. It's so true. So once it had that success, it was just like this huge domino effect. And they were fortunate enough to have sequels that connected with the audience. And of course, Wes, driving the vehicle for that franchise for the 4 films. There were a lot of great things that they had going on. And of course, great actors. When we talk about Scream, because of course, we have to get to Scream. And part of this whole conversation was from Scream, the hype of Scream. Is it oversaturated? Is it too much? For me personally, and then I'll get to you ladies, for me personally, I think it's a lot of hype, for people that are online, for people that are searching horror online. You're gonna see it online, but for the 98% of the the movie audience that isn't like in a place like this tonight hanging out, they don't know. They're just like, oh yeah, it's a new movie, who's gonna be in it, and you know what I mean. Like, that's just how horror works. It's the same thing for any other legacy franchise. And speaking of Scream 7 in particular, obviously a lot of people are theorizing about Stu coming back. I mean, you guys probably would believe it, but some folks in the audience cannot believe the emotion and the passion on both sides of the fence. There are people that are ready to walk out of the theater in February if Matthew Lillard is shown to be alive, just because he's alive. How does that make sense? I've heard it from people, and everyone's got their opinion, and that's cool. I can respect that. You also have people on the other side of the fence that they're basically saying it's now or never. This is the time. We've been building up to this. Let's go. Sarah, I'll start with you. When we talk about Scream as a franchise, we get specifically talking about 7 and someone like Stu Macher. Does Scream 7 need like a Stu level home run to make this thing really work? Or can it glide by? And I'm not trying to set you up, but can it just, ease on by with a paint by numbers Sydney story and, a couple of Ghostface killers that are like, yeah, boom, they're cool, whatever. Do you think we need someone like Stu in Scream 7 or what?
Yeah, I think it's almost going to be worse if it's boring and they just do like a little paint by numbers, whatever. Because like you said, there are 2 sides right now. Ultimately, one is going to be upset, but it's better to just have a really big move and make half of the people really excited and want to watch it a million times, and then maybe piss off the other half, rather than do something in the middle that satisfies neither parties. And everyone just comes out of it feeling like they wasted their time.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting way to put it. Is like, just swing, go for it, and let the pieces fall where they may. I've actually never really thought of it like that. I like that.
Playing it safe would be a win for no one.
Do you think they're going to play it safe? I mean, I know we're still a long ways away. We're going to hear a lot of stuff, in the coming weeks that could sway us one way or the other. But just like tonight, the way you feel tonight, the stuff that the stuff that, as you always say, in your heart, your conscience, do you think they're going to play it safe?
I don't think that they're intentionally going to play it safe.
Okay.
I think they really think that whatever they're doing is going to be successful, or else why would they be making it? But we have so many characters. I'm like, what are we going to do with them all? Like, we can't have all of them making huge moves. Like, I don't know. I'm optimistic that it's not going to be a safe, boring paint by numbers,
Mhm.
but like the trailer kind of made it look like that.
Interesting.
Like the
Okay.
trailer, like when I first saw it, I've been thinking about this for a couple of days actually. When I
Okay.
first saw the trailer, I was really pumped.
Mhm.
And I think it was just because every time I see a new shot of Stu's house, I get excited. I love that
Mhm.
house. And it's Sydney. I haven't seen Sydney in 2 years. Like more than that, 4 years whenever 5 came out. Like I was just excited to see her back. But like upon rewatching it, I'm like, this is a pretty generic trailer. And
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
that's good and bad. It's good that they're not giving anything away, but I'm like,
Right.
I hope that this isn't the flavor of the whole movie because
Mhm.
it was very paint by number.
Interesting. No, I
Really?
dig that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying the trailer kind of lost its luster over the last couple of rewatches.
Okay.
No.
Oh, it's
Go ahead, Julie.
The first question, do we need like a Stu or a Stu parallel character? Yes, we
Okay.
do. I think so. I don't think I think I talked about this last time, but I don't think I can handle another ending where it's 2 killers, 3 killers, what have you, who
someone's
have
family.
a fun little motive and they're just doing this because of their motive, and whether it's family or whether it's like a Scream 5 motive, it and then something I've gotten so sick of this, and I know I said this last time, but just killing off the villains at the end of every movie.
Right.
We get a safe little reset into the next movie. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm tired of it. It
Mhm.
worked when it worked. But I think I want to say starting with 5, I was like, okay, I'm sick of it.
Mhm.
I'm sick of
Mhm.
that way of ending a movie.
Mhm.
So I think I would love to see that. I'm not confident that we're gonna see that. And my reason for that is because I think, and if I put myself in Kevin's shoes, it's
Mhm.
kind of like, okay, he wrote this franchise, most of it. Is he approaching this as a seasoned writer? These are his characters, like his baby, or is he approaching this as like, well, this is like my second time directing a movie ever. Do I need to have like a safe like intro movie to kind of like get test the water, and then maybe in the next one it'll be less safe and it'll be
Mhm.
more, do you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
don't know if he's approaching this as like a no, let's go, like let's do something crazy, or if he's like, yeah, just doing like a soft reset, like, okay, it's my not his first time directing, but I think it's his second. So this is, I mean, I don't blame him if he does
Mhm.
play it safe, but I'm just like, please don't.
That's an
We're
interesting way to look at
tired.
it.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a couple things there, and then I'll get back to the chat. I mean, that is an interesting way to look at it. I would like to think that he's approaching it in a way that is, multifaceted. He's coming at it as a person that is really great at writing characters and that has shepherded this franchise and done so much for it, but also being a part of it today, you know what I'm saying, is different than it was in 96. The franchise is different. What we need in the franchise is different. And because it's a long running franchise, to your point too, Julie, I mean, I think the whole idea of having the killers revealed at the end and then they're just off, and it's like, dang, man, it's like, where was I want some oomph in there. I agree with that. I really do. And I think that for me, I do think they need something, like Stu. I think they need the idea of the killer to be more than what we've seen before, whether it's the family relation or they want to be famous or, they're mad at Stab and, the fans and this, that's all cool, and some of those films worked, obviously. Some didn't work as well, but I think you bring this character back, and if you do it the right way, Matthew is he's just larger than life, and I think he can inject that type of energy into the film, just like he did in 96, but in a different way. You know, I know there's a lot of people, and you know, a lot of great people and friends that think, well, you know, it's not gonna be as good because it's not him from 96. Yeah, well, that doesn't mean it can't be better. Now, as much as I love Dewey as a character, and I love David Arquette, there's no doubt for me, I'm just saying for me, that his performance in 5 was his best performance. You know, I just
Yeah.
felt as though he was, I mean, the spectrum of emotion. I mean, now granted, you also got to say, well, he's a much more seasoned actor. He should be better at his craft. And he was. But that's what I'm saying is that, you know, we could have something that's brought that is very interesting, not only for a character like Stu, but for the franchise, for the film. You know, we've got Sydney as a mom. That's a whole different ball game than what we've seen her do before, which gives us the possibility. So, anyways, I just think that I think that having someone like Stu, I'm not saying it's the only answer that would work, but I think it's an answer that could be very good for a franchise that's been around for 30 years. I really, really do. It has to be done right, just like everything else. But just thinking about the possibility of Matthew coming back alive and kind of doing his thing in a new way, I'm sure. But I'm sure there's going to be shades of this. I mean, look, when I met him, I was seeing shades of Stu. Like he's naturally just that type of charismatic guy. You know, he's animated. That's just who he is. That's who he always has been. It's probably who he always will be. I mean, obviously he's gonna get older, but you know what I'm saying? That's still at the heart of his heart. So you imagine that he can bring that energy, and then leading into a Scream 8, like you were saying, Julie, like we just don't have the villain show up and we kill him. Yeah, of course it was me. And then you just get aced out so easily. Bro, you were a halfway decent Ghostface through most of the film, and then you just get taken out by Sam. Don't get me wrong, Sam's a badass. But still, it's like, you know, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like
well,
that is a frustrating thing.
and let me say, like, in a vacuum, I think the endings of 5 and 6 are fine. I think they're fine, but we are not new to this game, right? We've been seeing this for a long time. And so to us, it's like, okay, remember the 5 trailer where they said, I think it was Dewey, he said, this feels different.
Yeah.
Feels different this time. And we were all flipping out. We were like, oh my God, it's Stu or it's something, and it's something different. And then we see the ending and we're like, was it? Was it something different? I don't know. It didn't feel like it.
Like, they have been hyping us up for a while now with all the cast drops, with all of the returning cast member drops, now with like the voices in the trailer, Stu's voice ending it. Like, if they don't do something, it is gonna piss people off.
Yeah.
If they don't, they
building to like nothing.
That's a sick joke.
It's a huge missed opportunity as well. You know, and I've said it before, and you know, again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but I'm just saying when you have an actor with that type of charisma and cachet with the fans and in the franchise as well. I mean, like that is a high level character. We're not talking about like Charlie. You know, we're talking about Stu. You know, no shade to Charlie, Marcus. I know you're probably out there, but I'm just saying. I mean, look,
throws his headphones off, stops listening to the podcast.
I felt a tremor in the force.
I know. I love you, Marcus. But seriously, I mean, it's Stu. I mean, this is, you know, big time, and it goes all the way back to the beginning. And, you know, again, I won't go over the same things I've said before, but it links to everything, you know, with Roman, with Maureen, with Sydney, today, with Vince, so we can tie in 5 and 6 and actually make everything nice and neat. I just think if they don't do it, look, I'm going to promise you guys right now, and I know you guys would probably not want to hear a lot of it, but I'm going to be ranting my ass off because I'm just, you know, I'm just going to think.
I want to hear it. Yeah.
I would feel like it's a missed opportunity, you know, and I'm not saying they can't make a good film without him. They surely can. but I just think if we don't have him in it, and he's really the only, as far as the link to everything, there's no one else I can think of. I mean, we'll see how it all plays out, but I just feel as though it's a huge missed opportunity. And as these characters are in films longer and longer, I'm talking about Sydney, and as the actors get older, I mean, like, this is your chance, like,
Mhm.
boom, punch it, let's do this, let's get a couple films out, and then we can walk off into the sunset and truly pass it on to maybe Tatum. That works. It's like, I mean, and that's how I look at it. And maybe it's cheesy or too fairy tale, but I just think that would be the best way to handle whatever we're going to do. And I pray to God that it is not safe. I
Well, I
really
think
do.
this is their last chance to be complete. Like for me, this is their
Mhm.
last chance. If they don't do it this time, just don't do it. And by the way, you might not get to another chance to do it because he's becoming an icon in a different franchise right now.
Right.
So if you don't
Right.
do it now, well, guess what? He's gone. He's making that Five Nights money, you
He took
know?
Mhm.
Skeet with him.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
he
did.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Hey,
And
look,
they could
some
keep him busy for the next decade. There's
that's right.
games for days, and
Yep.
he's a main character. So
Yep. Let
bye-bye.
him
Like, do
let
it
him
now.
let him cook.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna be smart enough to say, yeah, Matthew's still got that clout. Let's go.
Mhm.
So like I said, look at the Black Phone too. They were like, look, there hasn't been an Elm Street film in 15 years. Let's go. And they did a great thing. It was Elm Street-esque, but yet different, and
Mhm.
it fit into the mythology that they started in the first film. But there's no doubt it was great being able to see a villain do the things that he was able to do, which obviously that's how Freddy was able to do some amazing things. So anyways,
And
I'm
I'm fine
ranting,
with
but
it. I haven't heard somebody, like,
me too.
explicitly say, like, "Oh, they stole that." And it's like, "Yeah, so what if they did, man?
It
Mhm.
didn't
The water's
feel,
wide open. Nobody else is
Wide
yeah.
open.
It's been
And it's
15
crazy
years.
because so like it is crazy too when you think about it, because it's like, yes, like that is a Freddy Krueger character, but watching it, it didn't feel like Elm Street at all to me. And I was consciously
No.
going, oh yeah, this is why everybody's saying it reminds them of Freddy. But I didn't get Freddy from him.
Right,
It
right.
was a totally different vibe. The
Mhm.
only time that I ever even thought about it was when she's first getting thrown around in the kitchen. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I see why people are like comparing this to Tina, but
Mhm.
that was it. Like, Dream Demons
That yeah.
exist throughout different films. I wasn't getting Freddy from this, and I don't know, I loved it. I
Mhm.
don't mind the comparison at all. Like, I totally get why people are doing it,
Yeah.
but like it felt like just distinctly different. It didn't feel like, oh, they're trying to go for an Elm Street thing. It's like, no, man, they did their own thing. Just
I
Right.
also
felt it
wanted to be a dream
yeah.
demon.
I felt
Yep.
it during that scene and then the bed scene when she's in the bed, but I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it made me smile. I didn't feel like, "Oh
Mm.
god, they stole." No. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. That was awesome.
I agree. I agree. And they were able to do some things that you don't see every day. And it was very creative. There was some creative stuff in there. And it's like, man, that was one of the hallmarks of the Elm Street franchise is the creativity.
Mhm.
Those moments when the victims are in a nightmare and your jaw is dropped because you're like, wow, oh my gosh, so creative. That was something that made Freddy stand out in the mid to late 80s and beyond that. So Black Phone 2, uh, touching upon that and using some of that, I think is smart, number one. But two, it's giving this energy. That's what I was kind of referring to earlier. This energy, like how Stu can give energy to Seven, and energy to the villain. Like I want to, like when I think of Black Phone 2, and we joke about it so much on our thread. We always talk about the ice skating and this, that. But think about that. Something as simple as ice skating and flipping an axe, like, lives in our mind. And,
Mhm.
and and a big part of that is because the character, they took their time, They built up the character with a great story. The visuals are fantastic. The way that the cameras got him framed, you can see him. The makeup looks good. It doesn't look crappy. You know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
So it's like they had everything that you needed for it to live in your mind once you left the theater. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's the beginnings. We're not there yet. We're nowhere near it. But those are the beginnings, at least for me as a viewer, where I can start to say to myself, man, this guy could become iconic one day. Who knows? I mean, I didn't think Freddy was going to become iconic. I loved that original film. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Woo. I didn't know he was going to have an album and, a TV show and plushies and toys and all. I didn't know that. No one did. Wes didn't. That's why Wes didn't want to do a sequel. And even Wes Craven, as wise as he was like, yeah, that was a mistake because I didn't see it as a franchise. So you just never know.
Which is so interesting because people said that here, and look what we got.
Right.
And I think it helps that we have a bit of a stylistic director with us, and I really liked like the grainy 8mm or whatever sequences and the distinction between dream and reality. I thought that was cool. At first, I was like, okay, this might get annoying, but no, I vibed with it. Thought it was good.
Yeah, it's distinct. It's like, wow, okay, I'm vibing with it. Real quick in the chat too, just to catch up to you guys. You guys have been working hard, and thank you so much for all of your conversation and support. We have John Darius. What's up, man? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Coming in strong with a super chat. Hey, everyone. Hope you're having a great week. Speaking on the Boogeymen of horror, one of my all-time favorites is the one from the film The Collector. Thought on the film and its icon. The Collector. I don't know if you ladies have seen The Collector.
No.
You should check it out, especially you, Julie.
I know.
That's all I'm gonna say. Oh, you know why I'm okay. Yeah, check it out. This is an example of a film and also a character that just didn't get the push they should have gotten. I feel the same way with The Creeper, with Jeepers Creepers. First one, really, really good. Second one had a lot of fun, and then boop, we jumped off the cliff. Amazing mythology, amazing design, amazing possibilities. You could have done anything. The Creeper could have been in Japan for all we know, and they could have made a movie. That's how wide of a lane its mythology had. But 3 and 4, it was just like, boop. But The Collector, I do think that there were possibilities there. And I'm not saying it's past that point because you never know. I mean, like we just said, you look at a film franchise like Saw, and after 20 years, you can get a 10th film that gets one of the highest Rotten Tomatoes scores and critical acclaim. It can happen, it can happen. But with The Collector and that third film that they wanted to do that they never did.
Yeah, they never pulled the trigger on that.
I don't know why.
It's The Collector and The Collection, right?
Yeah.
And then there was going to be a third one. Oh, I didn't know that. I had no idea.
And it was a good I liked it. The second one's all right too.
I actually saw the second one first. I didn't know that it was a sequel. It was just one of those things where I was like, oh, what's this movie? The synopsis looks cool. I watched it. I liked it. And then I found out it was the sequel. So then I watched The Collector, and it was almost like I was watching a prequel. But like it worked.
Yeah.
And then later on, I watched them in the right order, but I like them.
Yeah. No, Val's like, do a watch party. Yeah. Okay. Maybe, because I haven't seen it in a while, to be honest with you. It's good. It really, really is. I mean, seriously. But thank you so much, man. We appreciate the support. And that was a great call back. And hell, man, we might even do a watch party. So thank you for that, John. We appreciate you, man. Hollywood Guy also coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much, man. Good to see you here as well. Night hello, gang. What's up? Halloween can get a reboot. Friday 13th can too, because the villains are hidden behind masks and can get away with it. For Freddy, you can't. Robert is the GOAT. Guys, you knew we would get to Michael. I mean, the name of the stream. Come on, guys. Let me ask you this, and this is kind of where I was going to kind of wrap things up a little bit. We got the Halloween trilogy. Successful overall. Missteps, for sure. we know we're gonna get. I mean, look, we know we're gonna get another one. Here's the question, and I know both of you guys, as franchise fans in your own way, do you want another one? Number one, and what's Michael's legacy today, like right now? You know, even before we get that next one, almost 50 years worth. Sarah, let me start with you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, like he is like the face of Boogeymen for me. Like he is the most iconic. He always will be. Now we're gonna get another one. It's not a matter if I
Yeah.
want another one or don't. Like we're getting one.
Right.
It's gonna have to obviously be a different timeline. I think the flashbacks that they did in Kills were so good. I think we can't really be going back in time and doing prequels. Like that ship has sailed. So it's going to have to be like a new timeline with a new story.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't thought about how they're going to make this work. Like if we're going to get a new Final Girl and she's going to be the new Lori, like if they're going to reboot it using the same characters or if we're going to actually just have a new story. I don't think they can make it make sense, so they just have to make a good movie. It's like we've started different timelines with this all over the place. People have their opinions on it, but in general, we don't lose a lot of sleep about how this franchise is fractured. Like,
Right.
just make a good movie. I think it's just going to get too crazy if they try to tie it to existing timelines because the definitive timeline is that he's now dead. I don't want some crazy Jason Lives scenario. Like, I like that he is a man. I want to kind of go back to those roots. So just, I don't care if they make it make sense that he's back. Just give me a good movie that we can start with and we can now follow this new Michael.
Okay, all right. Julie, and also Hollywood guy, thank you so much for that super chat and question because that led right into where I wanted to go. Julie, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, my first thing was going to be, well, define another one. Are we talking? So, okay. So I was sitting here thinking about it. I think for me, if they're going to do any semblance of this again, no, I want a completely new story. And honestly, I don't even want, I think what would work for me is if they just like, we get a new Michael, however he looks, if he's younger, I'm assuming he would be younger. It's the same mask. Okay. Better not be bad. But I don't want any semblance of an origin. Like I think what you do is you skip that entire like him as a kid and you do absolutely not what Rob Zombie did because we don't need to see that again. We don't need to see him as a kid at all, I think. I don't want him killing his sister. I just want like if you're going to do it just plop him in like on a Halloween night and he came out of nowhere and he's just doing what he does. And I think you just do that. Like I don't want a story about him. We don't need the sister thing again, although I love the sister thing. I just don't want to do that again. Like we're done with that. And I don't want a rebooted Lori. I don't want that.
Right. Yeah.
Like in fact, like if you're gonna have a main character, maybe it'd be like, I don't know, two guys or something. Like I'm just like I feel like I'm so over it. Like I just want something completely like, and I don't want it at all. Like let me start with that. I don't want it at all. But if we're gonna get it, I think maybe like a short series on TV.
Yeah.
Where it could either be like either an anthology in the sense that like, yeah, it's Michael every episode, but maybe he's somewhere else every episode, a different area, different characters, whatever. And it's like a short story in each episode.
Okay.
Or a continuous story. But I just like, please, like no more with the, I don't want another Loomis. I don't want a Sartain. I don't want a Laurie. Like, just no. Like, I'm so sick of it.
So with you, so I want to make sure I get this clear. So you don't want another Halloween film, correct?
I would accept a Halloween film if we get not a traditional Halloween film. Like, almost as if, okay, like, I don't want to bring it back to the Black Phone, but in the Black Phone, we are following a set of characters. The killer just shows up. Like, he's notorious, but you don't know anything about him. Like, just do that, you know?
With new characters.
New characters.
Okay. Yeah.
Nothing connecting. And by the way, I love the new trilogy. It has nothing to do with that. I'm just like, I'm tired. Like, if you're going to do it again, do something else.
Yeah, I think they're at the point now where, they're going to obviously have a new timeline. And in my opinion, I also agree that they should just have new characters, or there are other characters that we had never followed before. You know what I mean? I mean, they could easily do those types of things, almost as if it's like a what if scenario. What if he didn't, follow Laurie and Annie and Linda? Maybe it was other people that he, whoever it may be, and just have a whole new group, a whole new mythology, so that you go into it and it's like you don't know what to expect. I think that would be the best way for them to approach coming back, and really the only way to me that makes sense. You're not going to continue the timeline. We're beyond that. We can't do that. We're not going to go back to anthology season of the witch stuff. We're not going to do that. We're not going to revisit what Rob Zombie did. We're not going to do that. So to me, that would be the best way to do it. We know that they're going to come back. You don't have the type of success that the franchise has had, and the longevity and the money that they made with the trilogy. You don't just stop now. Again, when we talk about icons, when we talk about boogeymen of horror, Michael's on that Mount Rushmore as well. Like, and it's almost, to me, it can't be even argued. So he's going to come back. I just hope that when it happens, it's done in the right way. And with if nothing else, the trilogy showed you can have the proper care to a character, its design and the way that it's physicalized, and it can be as good as it had ever been, from the previous, 35, 40 years. And that's one thing that they were able to do that I think universally most people would agree. What James Drew Courtney was able to do as that character himself, and obviously the look, the mask, and all of that, I think it was aces. I mean, it was so good that I wish that he could have done another movie or two, because as an actor underneath of it all, he was just so locked in. I mean, and for you guys that were around when he talked about it with us, like his mindset, like he talked about the mindset, his spiritual connection to this character, not that he's an evil person, but putting himself in that mindset of the shape and being the shape and walking through the world as the shape. And I'm like, this guy is making this stuff poetry. I like it, because it showed the level of commitment. And, probably as much as any other franchise, we know that there was different levels of commitment from people. and in Halloween. And I'm not saying, and I'm not trying to poo-poo on people, but I'm just saying, especially in that middle tier of the franchise, they were making movies. It was the 80s, and we were competing with Elm Street and Friday the 13th, and let's just make some movies. Hey, there's a stunt guy, let me put a mask on him. Hey, be Michael. Okay, let's do it. I mean, that's how it was back then. The good news is that now, because of movies like these Halloween films and other films too, you see it in other films like Thanksgiving, or even in Black Phone. I'm sure that there's trickle down effect of, hey, let's make this mask good, the makeup good, let's make it look realistic and not cheesy, like something someone can buy in Spirit Halloween, and let's really put an essence in this character. So I think a lot of things, and it gets right back to my whole point that I'm gonna kind of end us on. Success and hard work and effort, it really does make a difference. And I think it's made a difference in horror films for us. You know, those moments like Sarah was saying earlier that we went through, you know, Freddy's Dead and all of that type of stuff. It led us down this road now where people expect that effort. They expect the way the villain looks to be better than what I could do if I went to Spirit Halloween or something like that. You know what I mean? And I think that's a good thing overall for horror. You know, it gives us a higher level of horror and higher level of effort. And like we were even saying with art, as much as those films aren't for everyone, and as much as those films have their you know, the dark corner type of cult following, you know, they realize, hey, we got to put some effort into these effects. We're not going to do what they did with Nightmare on Elm Street in 2010 and have some PlayStation 2 looking graphics and stuff. We're not gonna do that. We learned a lesson, and that's a good thing for horror in general, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, when
Right.
people rag on the new trilogy, Halloween,
Mhm.
it's like, okay, yeah, we can goof on some things like Evil Dies Tonight and Ends, but it's like, dude, look at the production quality, the acting. Like people were, I mean, I think it's kind of easy to forget how high they set the bar with those because it's like if you directly contrast that to H2O, I mean, sorry, not H2O, Resurrection. Sorry, Sarah.
Sarah's about to do what?
Come again?
That was, I meant Resurrection. But if you like seriously, and I think people just they zero in on what they didn't like about the story, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think overall, yeah, getting this trilogy and the craft and the work that people put into it, I think it's huge.
Yeah.
Did you watch the behind the scenes of Kills? I bought Kills on social media, and it's just like Danny McBride and like all these dudes like showing you how they like built the tree outside of Michael's house and how they brought in real trees to the soundstage and
Mhm.
how they like built his house and how they like were trying to find the wardrobe for the flashbacks and how the guy that was working on the set looked like Loomis and they were scared that if they put prosthetics on him he would look less like Loomis, and it was just like they put so much care into it and it made me like the movie even more.
Yeah.
I don't talk about ends. It killed the timeline for me, and I'll never forgive them for not doing 3 movies in the one night. But that's here or there. I don't want to get
Thanks,
my blood
COVID.
pressure up,
Yeah.
but no, man.
They didn't
Kills
have to
did
rewrite
it.
it.
I
Yeah.
know.
Sorry,
I
Sarah.
know. Idle hands.
No, that's literally all I was gonna say was if you get like the DVD or the 4K or Blu-ray or whatever, just like watch the behind the scenes, or they probably even have it on YouTube. It's really cool.
I did just buy the triple set Blu-ray, so I need to hook those up.
Nice.
And
Very cool.
watch the behind the scenes.
Nice. All right. I like that. I didn't know that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, ladies, we're going to get ready to end it there, but this was a fantastic conversation as always. You know, when we talk about these iconic characters that have been around, and there's tons of other ones that we obviously did not talk about, but, you know, I wanted to touch upon a few that are obviously of today, and also some that are, you know, from the past and from some of these big franchises, whether it's Scream or Halloween or Elm Street. It's just interesting, but I do feel like these boogeymen, these villains, these horror icons or would-be horror icons are helping to drive horror in a direction where it does become so much more of a higher level craft. I mean, you're talking, you know, me to talking to someone like me that would go into the video stores and, you know, I could close my eyes and point to a film, and usually it was a film that, look, they had a couple $1,000s. You know, somebody grabbed something to put over themselves and they just started killing, you know, and someone played music on a keyboard and we were done. I'm exaggerating, of course, but that's what horror was like for a lot of films back in the day. And every once in a while, you'd have a fantastic person behind the camera, like a Carpenter or like a Romero or Toby Hooper, that could take even the smallest of resources, Wes as well, could take small amount of resources and make it so much bigger than what it was. That was few and far between, though. That was lightning in a bottle. So I'm really happy with where we are today in horror, and I think these boogeymen are driving the train. But anyways, for you guys in the chat, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you so much. Definitely leave a comment. Let us know what you think about this conversation. There was a lot that we covered, so we'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to hit the like button. It helps us out so much, and we appreciate it. Make sure that you follow these ladies on Instagram. They are awesome and always putting a smile on my face and others in our thread. I mean, we're laughing about. I mean, we're talking about ice skating. I mean, you know,
That
what are
is
we
my
doing?
most favorite new topic.
I
So
mean, what are we talking about here? Also, don't forget to check us out on Spotify or Apple Podcast or any platform that you enjoy podcasts as we continue to try to bring this to a point where, we have a lot more ability to do more. So thank you so much for the support. And ladies, thank you. I'll catch you guys backstage. And Val, I knew someone probably would do it. She's got the emojis.
yeah,
You're all right,
there
Val.
you go.
Love it. We will catch you guys next time. As always, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.